Washington. When Anuha Dasari, 16, heard the federal government was about to kill rules that guaranteed an open internet, she contacted her United States representatives for the first time, asking them to stop the action. The Mundelein, Illustrated, high school junior then passed around a link to classmates for a website that automatically placed calls, web comments and emails to the Federal Communications Commission, the agency that was moving to repeal the so-called net neutrality rules. When the FCC voted last week on the rollback, Ms. Dasari stayed glued to her smartphone for updates while taking her American government class. For research, for news, to communicate with friends, the internet is a big part of my life, Ms. Dasari said. It has formulated my personality, opinions and political ideology. If it is controlled, my generation of students could be inclined to be just on one part of the spectrum. That's dangerous. Millions of Americans have been caught up in a bitter debate over the repeal of net neutrality rules that prevented broadband providers from blocking websites or demanding fees to reach consumers. But the most vocal and committed activity may have come from Generation Internet, the digitally savvy teenagers in middle and high school who grew up with an open internet. The repeal of net neutrality has gotten many of these teens politically engaged for the first time, with fears that the dismantling of rules could open the door for broadband providers like AT&T and Comcast to distort the experience of accessing anything online with equal ease. For them, a dry issue that has often been hard to understand outside of policy circles in Washington has become a cause to rally around. For students that have used an internet that is open and without tolls their whole life, as complicated as net neutrality is, kids can get their heads around it pretty easily, said John Lewis, the head of Gunston School, a private high school in Centerville, MD. Net neutrality's repeal will not take effect for several weeks. Internet service providers including AT&T and Comcast have promised they won't block or throttle sites or create fast lanes for certain content. And several efforts are underway to scale back the rollback, including the introduction of a congressional bill and potential lawsuits. The opposition by many teenagers is rooted in how they are among the most avid users of the internet and smartphones. Virtually all youth between ages 13 and 17 own or have access to a smartphone, and 94% use social media, according to an April 2017 study by the Associated Press NORC Center for Public Affairs Research. Many are gaining access to devices at younger ages, with 98% of children from newborn to 8 years old accessing a mobile device at home, compared with 52% in 2011. Many became digital users when net neutrality was in effect. Net neutrality has existed in various forms since about 2006, when the FCC first created open internet guidelines for broadband providers known as the Four Internet Freedoms. In 2015, the FCC declared that broadband had become utility-like and deserved extra government oversight.